Hi seniors, I am doing a thermal curl skateboard video so that way you can see the exact procedures that you need to follow at state board. And then what you'll have to do is post back here your own video of the exact thermal curl procedure. And so if you do your video and you mess up, just redo it and make sure you submit the one that you've completed all of these procedures in. Okay, so let's pretend like I've already set up my station, just like I would at state board, doing my sanitation, disinfection, all that good stuff. So now it is time for them to tell me to start the thermal curl procedure. So they will read their instructions, and then before I begin, I will get myself a little squirt of sanitizer. And then I'm going to get out my thermal curl bag. Set out my one thermal curl comb. Even put my clip right here in my mannequin. Get out my paper. And then now I can discard my bag into my trash container. Okay. First things first, let's check my iron. All right, good to go. Discarding into my trash container, not setting it back on my station, and making sure my clamp is completely down. And I would also suggest putting your clamp down with your comb if it's not all the way down. All right, so we know we're not allowed to clip the curl, but we can clip the hair around the curl out of the way. You don't want to start, at least I don't recommend starting at the very front because you know how it wants to like flop forward. So some people like to go back here and start right on top of the head. Get your section. Now you could get your section and then test it on your paper. I just don't want you to forget to test it on your paper, okay? So when we're getting our section, we want to make sure that it is the size of the curling iron, of course, that you're using, right? And we don't want it to be more than 2 inches wide because it's going to be hard for you to control. Okay, so let's just check it here. All right, I look good with my sectioning. Now you notice I didn't go and lay it on her head because we're at pretend state board right now, and that would be a violation of safety to lay the iron against her head to check the size of our section. So now we're going to go ahead and warm our base. So front section, notice as I'm warming my base, I'm not going below 2 inches here because I don't want to get marked off for not protecting the scalp. So I'm just here going up the strand. Up the strand. Okay, you only have to do it one time on one side and one time on the back side. I just want to make sure that we don't see any of this going on because you're going opposite of the cuticle and that will rough it up. So, how you're supposed to do it. One time front of the strand, one time back of the strand. Open your iron, make a nice C shape in there. See how we've prepped our strand already just by doing that. Now we're ready to curl. Come in about halfway through the strand, making sure that your clamp is on the top. And you're not going all the way to the end, you're only going halfway through. So now watch, rolling, letting that tail go with. Keeping my projection so my curl stays on base. And you see how I put my comb right in there once I get within an inch or two of the scalp. Now, you do not want to, touch the hair on the iron. That would be a safety violation. You would lose points for that. And then you just let that sit for a couple of seconds, unroll a little bit, click through your strand, leave some of the tail exposed. Notice I'm putting my comb in from behind the iron. Unroll before you remove your comb. And then now we're going to click through a little bit more. If you're starting to lose it, you can use your comb to kind of guide. Slightly opening and closing my iron. Let that tail click through, making sure my comb's back in there. Let it sit for a couple seconds. And then unroll a little bit, remove comb, and then use your comb to remove the curl off the iron. And now see how that curl is just sitting there, nice and beautiful on base. We can see, can we? Here we are. You can see that it's a complete formed curl from scalp to ends. So if you were to drag down and not be on base, you're not going to have as strong of a curl at the scalp. And you could lose the points for having a complete formed curl from scalp to ends. If your section is too big, not only would you lose, and I mean it could be too wide or it could be too fat, okay, too tall. Not only would you lose points for your section being too big and not to the size of your iron, but you would lose points for not having a complete formed curl because, as you know, when your section's too big, you can get creases and you can't get as close to the scalp. So another option, okay, so what I would do then is I would just come over here to the side of the head because we know I got to show them 2 to 3 curls, right? And you notice how I just leave the clip in the hair. It's not going on the station. Get myself another section. You're never putting your comb down. All right, so let's look and see, okay. That looks pretty good. My subsection size, the size of my iron. And then no longer than 2 inches, so that way I can stay in the center of the barrel and control the hair. And just to kind of show you what I'm looking at for my section for my curling iron barrel size that I'm using. Okay, here we go. Front side, back side, open iron, movable clamshell on top, C shape. Everything's over projected, okay? You can see it's already got, my base is established. You can see it. Halfway through the strand. Let the tail come with the iron. Getting close to that scalp within an inch or 2. Plug that comb in there. Unroll a little, remove comb. Click, 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 click. Let's do a little more click. Okay. Roll it back up. See how I'm leaving my tail over here, so it's not getting caught in the iron to not make any creases. And unroll. Now it's safe to remove comb and click, click, click till we get that tail through. You can click through as many times as you need to make it happen. Get that tail completely through. Roll it back up. And I'm going to give it one more little clicky. Okay. Just to make sure I've got it good. Now unroll a little bit. Now it's safe to remove my comb. Now, let's say you're short and you're having a problem with the over projection, okay? You can always, now I just did a little perm wrap demonstration here for juniors, so my hair's wet under here. But you can always come at the side of the head, okay? And you can get your section right here. And you could clip this out of the way and you could do your curl here. And then that way you're not having to be on top of the head and like tippy toe it or whatever. So do what works best for you. I would just make sure, just practice, because when you're there, you don't want to be trying new things. You want to know exactly what you're doing, like your little robot. So that way you're not like fumbling through it. But you can see we've got our complete unmarked curl, and to check it, you want to unroll it, look at those ends. Okay? Any questions? Let me know. I'm excited to see your awesome thermal curl stay board procedure. I miss you guys.